Hello, this is Jeff, and I am talking with Jeff and Jan, in France for another week. Jan, how are you doing?
Hey Jeff, good to see you.
Good to see you
I
too.
Yeah, I'm doing fine. It's a bit early as well. You can see we're running a little late, but it's a bit early. I haven't even made my bed yet. The cats sleep till 11, so I can't make my bed until the cats get up.
How kind of you.
Absolutely. Do you know? And that reminds me of Ellen DeGeneres. I heard her say one time that I don't know, her and her partner Portia have three or four dogs, and they all sleep on the bed with them. And I think there's a lot of people that do the same thing. I mean, you just can't make the bed until the animals get up. But speaking of Ellen DeGeneres, I thought of her this week too because I went into my favorite boulangerie that has the bread that you'll see in the pictures that I send you,
Right.
and there was one of the caissières, the gal behind the counter, that was kind of dancing. The music was pretty loud and it was pretty bopping, and she was kind of moving. And I thought, oh, maybe we should do like Ellen DeGeneres, where she has some of her people and like us. I mean, people that watch the show start dancing in public, and they film themselves, and then when people notice, they stop. I thought that would really be fun to do here in France because the French, I mean, would just be like, "What are you doing?" I mean, they barely move, and it's such
Right,
a
right.
traditional kind of reserved culture still that one of these days maybe I'll have to do that is start
We can do
dancing and singing
that.
in public and send it to her and just say this is how the this is how the French deal with it.
This is how the
Anyway,
French public reacts. Yes.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Did you
Anyway,
make
I'm
it
sorry,
to
what?
the market?
We did. We went down to Richemont. It was a beautiful day, so it turned out really good to do it last Saturday. And we got a lot of pictures, but I haven't. You'll have them when you put up this post. So there's a lot of fun pictures, and it's a really pretty market. And we did talk with some of the producers of truffles. Truffles are going for 600 euros a kilo.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
it's a lot. And anyway, my friend Claire, which I'll send you a picture of too. Claire is an American. She's lived abroad for a long, long time. Her and her husband's from Denmark, and her career was in Geneva. So, and since we're only about 3 or 4 hours down from Geneva, they've settled down here for their retirement. But she bought me some really nice cheese, a brie cheese where they put the truffles in it. So
Wow.
I've
But
got some.
no, it must be very expensive.
It is. It was really nice of her to offer that to us. So I have some pictures of that, and it is. It's like when you get used to cheese here, a good cheese, and you acquire that taste of cheese with wine or even without wine. I remember telling some friends that a good goat cheese with wine is like better than what do we call them, a sundae or I guess we
Ah,
call them sundaes, ice cream sundae.
better
And
than
this
an
is
ice
really,
cream.
yeah, this is really, really, it's a good cheese. So I've got some pictures of that with some of that really good bread, and so I'll get that off to you. And then Claire and I decided she lives a little bit further south from here in a little village called Colonzel, but she's got some really nice vintage pieces. I don't know, we started talking antiques and vintage, and some really, really interesting pieces. So I'm going to go down and meet up with her, and I'll be able to take some pictures or film it with my little GoPro camera. And we were going to go chiner. I don't know what the word would be for that in French or
What
in
is
English. Chine. Well, I wanted to look at her vintage antique pieces of furniture because they're just really interesting. But Chine, then we're going to go to a vintage brocante market and see what we can't find because some of them are just so much fun. There's just piles of stuff, and if you dig a little bit, you can find some interesting pieces. And it's called Chine.
okay?
How do we
I'm not sure. You kind of searching I don't they call it.
Yeah, deshine means just to kind of fouille. What would be the word in English?
It
We'll
means
have
to
to look.
it just means to kind of look and to go through different stuff. I think they say
Yeah,
America to pick through something.
yeah, yeah. We don't really have a specific word like they do in French. But it's yeah, it's just to kind of potsy around and kind of pick through stuff and try and find a really good deal or a good find and
Yeah, it is. No,
so
yeah, yeah. Because those are starting to happen. There's going to be a Brookmont. There's going to be a flea market. I saw the first sign for a flea market. They usually, where I live, because I live in the Alps, it's weather. They don't really have them in the winter, of course. It's when the
right,
spring happens, dang, that's when
yeah.
they all. And there's already one I saw advertised. No, we go to them quite often, and we need to buy a little ball to put tea in. That's what we need to
Oh, yeah, okay,
buy. We
okay.
got to find one of those. And we actually, it was interesting because we bought a bunch of 3D puzzles. They're
Oh,
really, really big, and they're new. They're about 30 to 40 euros, and used they're about 2 euros. So you can do.
oh, okay. Wow.
We bought those, and we have the Eiffel Tower made in this 3D puzzle.
Oh, okay. Okay, that would be interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
But
it's interesting. No, because the Brookons I love, yeah, really like them. We go out and
yeah, yeah. I've loved those for years. Well, now the flea markets are kind of like vide grun. Well, they call them vide greniers, which is like garage sales, although they don't
right,
have them at their house. But yeah, they're always fun to go to. And so this spring will be for your followers. I'll get some little films going and some nice photos of and as you will too. But there's so many around, and you can find old stuff. And like you say, you found those new puzzles. There's just such an eclectic combination of things to chine.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a
Yeah.
lot of different stuff. And we actually will even go to Emmaus. Do you ever go to the local Emmaus where you live, which
Oh,
is
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
it's which is Emmaus is kind of like the Goodwill, essentially.
Well, it is. It's the
It's the
Salvation
Goodwill,
Army
the French
Goodwill.
Goodwill.
Yeah. Yeah. Which
And
I would. Yeah.
I found puzzles there, 2 euros too. The ones that go for 35, and you buy them for two. And sometimes I feel like giving more money because it's a charity. But
Right.
if when you go to something like that, it's always buyer beware. But you tend to find stuff, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's really interesting. You get really, really good deals. And this is the season. Once the
Yeah.
spring, the sun comes out, bingo.
Well, yeah, we're all ready to get outside, and these are really fun. So there'll be some really fun ones coming up. There's one not too far from here called the Katsu, which he's been there for about 30 years, and he's always got some really, really, it's a permanent one. It's not the moving flea market. It's a permanent brocante antique place that you can,
Right.
go and visit. And, strangely enough, he's got llamas and camels.
Really?
I mean, it's one of those places where you kind of go, where did that come from? I don't know whether it's because it pulls in, you see a llama and you kind of want to pull over and go, why is there a llama in the middle of Ardèche?
Exactly, because I don't think that there's many. They are not indigenous.
No, 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 no. So anyway, and I've got another recipe, a tart that I'm going to be working on. I tried to do it this week, and there was just too many other things that came up. But so next week I'll have some really fun. There's so many variations on a quiche Lorraine.
Right.
And that's basically what this is. So I'm going to give, I've got quite, there's so much you can do. So I've got some variations on that and also some things that connect with, what's the guy that does the show Cauchemar en Cuisine? Oh, he's
Oh,
quite long.
Ramsey.
Ramsay, right, Gordon Ramsay. Do you know I read both of
Gordon.
his books? He wrote two books. Really interesting how he got to be a chef because that was not his initial passion.
Okay, it wasn't his
But
initial calling. All right.
yeah, no, I've read both of his books, and I saw one of his shows, a different show. Anyway, I'll talk about that maybe next week. So I've got he gave me some ideas that anyway that I was going to pass on, and so anyway I'll talk about that. But I I know you had an interesting thing to talk about medically.
Right.
So to lead into that, I'll just tell you really quick. There's a company in Arizona that I discovered. I don't know how. It's called Biomedics, and I was intrigued by them because they have this whole blog and this whole thing called How We Rot and Rust.
Oh, interesting.
And I thought that was really interesting because he's really based on, food, nutrition, and science. And it was just, anyway, it's just an interesting thing. And so I signed up recently for their newsletter, and I got one yesterday, and I was just fascinated. A little tidbit on DNA.
Oh yeah, tell me about DNA.
Yeah, if you took one strand in you of your DNA and you laid it out, it would be 6 feet long.
Wow.
Okay, but wait, listen to this. If we took all of the DNA in you,
right,
and we stretched it out, it would go 600 times around the Earth.
Now that's something.
It is, because when you think about, you've got something that'll go, you try and kind of capture the size of the Earth, which I just know it's really big, and you go 600 times around it with something that's inside of your body.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I thought that was just, the simplicity and the complexity of information like that. It's just, I just find that fantastic.
That is pretty amazing. What I was going to say is, because we talked about last week about an American who came to France for medical tourism.
Right.
We talked about that. And I talked to somebody who works for a hospital. It's actually a private hospital. They call them clinics here, but it's a hospital. And I asked them how much it costs for a room. Okay, I said, well, how much does your hospital cost? So this is the Alps. This is not in a large city. Paris would be about twice as, not quite twice as expensive, but probably 70% more. He told me if you have it's interesting, okay, if you stay in a double room, the normal cost is nothing. If you stay in a double room, you share with somebody else, generally speaking, you don't pay anything. And when my son had a emergency appendectomy, and he also spent the night one time when he had his wisdom teeth out and had a lot of bleeding, he spent the night, and I think that one night he stayed with his wisdom teeth, we paid nothing because we stayed with a double room with somebody else. And then the other one, when he had his emergency surgery, we paid about, I think, 150 euros to 200. I don't even remember what that was for. That was all we paid. I mean, it was the insurance picked up the rest. It's pretty, when you think about the price, you understand why an American would come here.
Yeah.
But a single room, they have 3 different types of single rooms. A single room actually has 2 beds. So it's a single room with 2 beds. It's 90 euros a night.
Why is it a single room with 2 beds? So
it's a private room. I misstated. It's a private room.
Okay, it's a private room.
Private room, which actually has 2 beds, and I believe this includes the meals too. It's 90 euros a night. This is a hospital in the Alps. It's not in a large city, but so it's 90 euros, which is almost $90 now with the way the euro's going.
Right, because it just changed. Yeah.
It just changed. Yeah. Okay, so the private next level up is 120, which you get more services, and then the highest is 200 a night, and that's for 2. That would actually be 2 people, includes the meals. You get free television, Wi-Fi, you get a bunch of stuff. I think they even give you some like cosmetics and stuff. So anyway, I was talking about it. It's very interesting. The prices, and they're pretty much. He said that when they do it, they have in the past had people come. They don't really do very much medical tourism and all. It's not really their thing, but they do give a price, and they kind of give a price. It tends to be a little bit more than the French people would pay, but not a lot more. It's interesting.
Wow. Yeah. That in fact, I found that so intriguing that an American would come to be operated on, and that you said the hospital, does that. I mean, there's a few of them. And I mentioned that to a French person, I can't even remember who, I don't know, we were talking, and they said that they saw it on the news.
Oh.
And I don't know whether it was the same American.
American, yeah. But anyway.
that's beside the point. The point is that they had heard that foreigners are coming, and I've known that the English do this, but the
Well,
English for them to just
if an English person did it, the National Health Service in England would pick up the tab.
probably, and it's so easy for them to get here.
Yeah,
But
so
somebody,
they would pick up. But there would be it depends on it would obviously depend on the surgery. But there is for Europeans traveling in the EU, there's a card that they can get when they travel. That if they do
absolutely,
have a medical
yeah,
emergency, they
yeah.
can use that card.
Right, right. So I know there's been English people, but for an American that, doesn't, doesn't maybe speak the language or live here, I find that really, well, maybe they do speak French. Who knows?
Who knows?
But,
Maybe they do. Yeah, who knows? I mean, it was kind of. I think that was a bit. It would be interesting to know how many. I think it's probably not a lot, but anyway, it's one of those things.
But things like that develop. Who knows?
Yeah,
Because
exactly. They can develop, and certainly with the euro weakening and the dollar strengthening, it makes it definitely for an insurance company. It makes it much more.
Absolutely.
It does. All right.
Yeah, yeah. And what is interesting is that, our medical here covers us in the United States, but I don't think if you had medical insurance in the United States, if you came, if something happened to you here in France, they would pay it. But if you actually traveled for the operation, I don't think they would. But
what I was told is that, and it's one of those things that if I had a problem in America, they would pay for it. But the problem is they pay for it under the French prices. The government has a list of prices. So if an American, if it costs more money in America to do the operation, then you would have to pick up the rest.
Right. And in fact, one thing that I learned, and then we can, get off the subject or close it out, but when I broke my wrist here, and I think I told you, there was, there was an orthopedic doctor from California working at the hospital in this town I live in. So he explained everything to me in English. In fact, he was just a really nice guy. But when I had to end up having the cast taken off in California, and they had to finish up the X-rays and everything. And I asked them for a receipt because I was going to get, I'm giving it to the Social Security system here. And they explained to me that because there's some numbers after what they did. And she said that those, because I told her I was turning it in on an international level, she said those numbers are international. So, when the Social Security here gets that bill, they'll be able to, with that number, it's a code, they'll know exactly what was done.
Okay.
And that's where you say they'll bill me for their price, but the French will have a price for that.
They'll have a price for that. Yeah, that's what the man told me. There's a book.
Right. Yeah.
They publish a book every year that gives the hospitals the prices, that lists all the prices. Because there's only there's one main insurer in France, the government. It's not really the government, but it's kind of the public health service. So anyway, all right.
And with people traveling now, that there's so many people traveling and different medical situations coming up that everybody's all the countries are probably kind of scrambling to find some kind of system.
Exactly. All right. Well, very good, and we look forward next week to your travels.
Yes. And I'm trying to. It's Friday.
All right.
I'm California. But I'm going to try and get to this Salon de Vin, which is a wine, there's a trade show, a little trade show here in Montélimar with local products and local wines. Good. So if I'll try and get there.
All right, Jan. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Ciao. Have a great weekend, Jeff. Ciao.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.